That ish that gets people deported. One day in 2016 is gonna sabotage all this. Hey Famiri, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to Before the Blow Up, where I am documenting my life towards a major glow up. If you're new here, thank you so much for tuning in. If you're not new, thank you for coming back. You smart, you loyal, I appreciate you. So as I mentioned in the previous vlogs, this part of my life that I'm documenting is she a little rough. She a little rough around the edges, okay? So I'm not gonna beat around the bush. All I can say is strap in. It's gonna be a ride, at least for me. And thank you so much for watching and sticking it out with me. I'm gonna ask you to stick with me a little bit more because it's probably gonna get worse before it gets better, okay? Today I'm gonna be sharing the issues and the struggles that I have been having around my visa and getting my Dutch citizenship. And if you have been a foreigner in a country, a immigrant, or you come from immigrant family, you know that having struggles with that is something that can affect your entire life. That's the issue that gets people deported. I'm gonna be sharing that as transparently as I feel comfortable to do. I know I'm not the only one that this is happening to in the world even, so why not share? I'm gonna try to do it as concise as possible while also giving enough context. So if this is a longer video, please get something to snack on, something to sip, and then we're gonna go through this together. Okay, so a little background on me when it comes to being a foreigner, right? I'm a Surinamese girl. I was raised in Suriname, and when I was 18, I came to the Netherlands. I've been here for like 15 years. That was never the plan, mind you. I was gonna do my study. I came as an international student, met my husband here. You might have guessed it, your girl stayed. It's 15 years later, and I have constantly been renewing my temporary visa, and I knew it was time to go for my Dutch citizenship. I actually qualified for my Dutch citizenship like a while back. So the rules in the Netherlands is as followed. In my case, if you're married for 5 years, you qualify to go for your Dutch citizenship. In that case, you would wait a year processing time and it would cost you 1,000 euros. Yes, girl, 1,000 euros. But there's also an extra rule that if you're married for those 5 years, and you've been in the country for 15 years, it is a shorter process. It used to be 2 to 3 months, now it's 6 months, and it costs you 200 plus euros. That was the option that I was going for, not only because of the money, also the waiting time, but also I just didn't want the hassle of immigrations no more. Because you can do that I could do it in The Hague with the regular gemeente, the Council of The Hague. Even though I was eligible to go for my Dutch citizenship years ago, I waited until I was eligible for the fastest route. Also because I still have my Surinamese passport, and in my case, if I would take the Dutch passport, I would have to hand in my Surinamese passport, and I don't know, I don't like that. I don't like that feeling of having to give up my Surinamese passport, nationality, citizenship, because I'm really proud of it. I took that time to really think, am I willing to do that? So as time went on, I just made sure that I was in contact with the immigration. I would call them often just to be sure that I have all my documents that I need. I even asked for a history of all of the resident permits that I asked in the past few years to kind of know, like, is everything okay? Are there no gaps? Because a gap can mess you up. I got all of my documents. I knew exactly what I needed, and everything was okay, and it was supposed to go smoothly. Spoiler alert, it did not go smoothly. This is around the time that my parents are still here and the day of my appointment has finally come. I wake up, I get ready, I'm excited. I'm like, today is the day. I open my door to leave, and the moment I step my foot outside of the door, a bad feeling comes over me. It's like I'm suddenly nervous, have a feeling as if something really bad is gonna happen. Me? I normally don't get those feelings. I've gotten it like maybe twice in my life. So naturally, I start to pray. I'm like, God, what is happening? Why am I feeling all of this? I ask him to protect me. I'm asking for everything for the appointment to go well. That feeling still stayed, but I kept praying. I tried to play it off. Mind you, I had to get the tram. I had to really be on my way, or else I was gonna be late. I'm in the tram, I'm trying to play it off, trying to vlog a little for y'all. I'm just gonna put on some worship music because this nervousness, this feeling of intimidation is like not going away. At a certain point, my favorite worship song comes on. It's by Maverick City, Firm Foundation, but a remix, with a little trap beat and like, hey, hey. I'm like, I get hyped up. He's gonna make a way, yeah, he's gonna make a way. I'm like, yeah, he's gonna make a way. Oh yeah, okay, okay. In that moment, it felt like God was trying to tell me like, no, you ain't gotta be scared. I got this, I got you. Everything is gonna go well. I'm like, cool, God got this. I even did a little worship break in the street. I was like, God got this. Why am I tripping? I get to my appointment. I hand the lady my documents. She looks me up in the system. Looks at the computer. Looks at me. And she's like, I don't know how to tell you this, but you have a gap in your residence. I'm like, what? You have a gap in your visa. Okay? Excuse me? That can't be. So this lady tells me that I have a resident gap. You know how long the gap was? 1 day. 1 day in 2016. I've never been late with applying for my visa. Immigrants, foreigners, no, you cannot be late in applying for your visa. That ish that gets people deported. In my case, I wasn't going to be deported, but it was going to have consequences. So you mean to tell me 1 day in 2016 is going to sabotage all this? Remember when I told you I asked for a document to kind of have my history of my residence permit? That document from immigration didn't say that I had a gap in my visa or in my stay. So I was like, I don't understand how that's possible. My document says that everything is okay. Gave her the document. She looked at my document. She's like, I don't understand because everything seems to be okay. You know what? I'm gonna have to double check with the immigrations, which should be fine. You got this document from the immigrations as well. It is gonna take some time. It is gonna take 30 days. In that 30 days, my Surinamese passport was gonna expire. And I needed my Surinamese passport for this process. So I told her this. I told her that renewing a Surinamese passport, it's a minimum of 3 months. When she heard that, she was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna ask them for the information. It is gonna take 30 days, but after that, we are gonna do a rushed process. So you have your passport before your Surinamese passport expires. I'm like, cool. Don't like the fact that I have to wait these 30 days before I hear something back, but maybe that was the feeling that I had. God has already prepared me for this. And like, okay, we cool. God's gonna fix it. I just have to wait the 30 days. I can do that. I can have faith for 30 days. So I had decided not to panic because if you watch one of my previous vlogs where I thought I was getting kicked out of my house, at that point, I was panicking. We still in the house, okay? God stepped in. I don't know what happened. But what I learned from that experience was when it seems like it's time to panic, maybe don't panic yet. Because you never know what type of shoop God is going to do. And then you was panicking and now you look like Booba the Fool. All that hooping and hollering, nothing happened. I looked like Booba the Fool. I was just like, you know what? Maybe this is a test to see if I really learned my lesson. When it seems like it's a moment to panic, maybe don't panic yet. It seems like it's time to panic. Let's not do that. Came home, told my parents, I was like, it's gonna be good. They're gonna do a rush process. We're gonna be good. And then the waiting game started. At first it was okay because like I said, I had the last few days with my parents. I got to focus on them. I was missing them because they had just left. And after that, back to back, I had the Paris trip. If you watch my previous vlog, I went to Paris on my first brand trip ever. And that was such good vibes. And I think you can, looking back on that video, knowing this now, you can imagine why I was so appreciative of having those good vibes in the middle of like this waiting season. But in the back of my mind, constantly while I was trying to stay calm, was this voice of, what if it's not gonna be okay? What if these people, the immigration that says you ain't got no gap, also say that you have a gap? Like, what is that gonna mean for me? What am I gonna do? And I constantly said like, no, that's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. That is not gonna happen. It took everything in me to fight that. There were so many nights that I could not sleep because I had to fight to stay positive. If you're new here, having faith and being positive has been such a struggle for me in the last few years because of disappointment. And I find myself, because of disappointment, when I want something really badly or I hope for something good to happen, or when bad things happen and I have to stay positive that it's gonna turn around, it literally takes everything in me because fear and doubt is literally crippling. Okay, so weeks pass by and I finally get a call from the council lady, and I was just like, yes, this is the moment where she's gonna tell me, I'm sorry, this was an entire mix-up. This woman tells me, we called immigration. Immigration also says that you have a gap in your residence. And I asked her, but why wasn't the gap there when I've been asking for all these years? She says, I don't know what to tell you. Pick up the phone again, I call immigrations. That was such a ghetto experience, I'm not gonna lie. I asked my questions. The guy on the phone cannot answer my question.
Why are they saying that I have a residence gap when my documents do not reflect that? Why do I have a gap when I filed my application for the permit on time?
Every time he goes to the back, comes back, tries to boss up on me without answering my questions. He tries to double down. I was telling him, you're not answering my questions and you're being rude. So at a certain point, he was like, you know what, you're gonna be called back by the person who's responsible for this and they're gonna answer your questions. I'm like, cool. That was a Monday. They did not call me back. They sent a letter, and in that letter, they didn't answer any of my questions, but they let me know that they changed my residence history. So you remember the document that I asked for the years before I went? That document said I didn't have a gap in my stay. They changed it. They changed it to reflect that I had a gap in my stay. That moment broke me. One thing you have to realize about me, I hate injustice. I hate injustice. When injustice happens to another person, it's like I'm ready to fight. In that moment, I was pissed and I felt so broken. Nobody talks about this, but stuff like this happens to people every day. To foreigners every day. The immigration service that's here to help people relies on the fact that these people cannot advocate for themselves. So then the very long road of trying to get legal help started. I went from lawyer's office to lawyer's office to see if somebody, anybody would help me. And no. Because they found the gap before I had applied for anything, no lawyer was willing to help me because there was no case that they could turn over. It was a matter of weeks where I went from office to office just to hope like maybe the next person is going to be able to help me. Maybe the next person is going to be able to help me. Just to constantly like not only hear a no, like I can't help you. People were actively telling me that I was not going to win this thing. That was messed up. Did I just make it up? That I felt like God was reassuring me that he was going to take care of it? Like, were you not going to take, like, if you're going to take care of it, like, what's happening? Did I make that ish up? I felt so alone. I felt so forgotten. I felt forgotten by God, forgotten by people. I didn't know if I was supposed to hold on and have faith for it, because do you know how many people this has happened to and they had to roll with it? Just to be clear, what were the consequences for this, right? So I was not going to be deported. I still had my valid visa, which is still, it's not going to expire for a few years. So that was not the problem. The problem was that I was now going to have to apply for a much more expensive visa that would take a longer processing time. And I had waited so many years. I could have done it years back if somebody had told me that I had a gap. Then I could have done it years back, would have had my just Dutch citizenship now. But as I was on the phone with these people year after year, how come nobody noticed this? And if I look at my records, we sent this thing in on time. So it was just the injustice of it all. And in this entire injustice, I'm trying to hold on to my faith, like God said he's gonna do it. It doesn't matter what the circumstances say, God said he's gonna do it. Try holding on to that for months on end. Try holding on to that 6 months later. I was so triggered in my faith, in my feeling of feeling forgotten, in my hate for injustice, that December was hard. I tried to go about as normal. I tried the Dyson for the first time, flogged that, went to events because it was around Christmas. Dang, that moment was hard. And especially the fact that nobody could help me. There was one person that wanted to help me and could help me. And that was a brother from my church, Robin. And I feel like in everything, in all the questions that I had, and still have, mind you, for God, on a good day, I can see that it's his grace that this person wants to help me. So Robin is a guy from my church. I've known him for a long time. We've sung together. And one thing that I never knew about him is that he studied law. He has some experience in immigrations. And one day I was at the train stop. I ain't gonna hold you, me and God was beefing. And I was just like, what am I supposed to do? And like, there was literally the slightest thought in my head, call Robin. And I just thought I was calling Robin to let me know, like, I got a letter, and the letter was legal speak, and I didn't really understand it. Turns out, this guy has helped me in the process in the last few months. He's helped me tremendously. And I didn't know about his background. I didn't know that he knew so much about this, but he has been helping me. I'm sharing this before it's even done, just because this is the part where I am right now in the story. I'm still in it. It sucks. It is a very long, vulnerable situation. The more that I'm finding out, the more that I'm learning, like, yeah, when I said I was on time with filling it in, I was. When I felt injustice and I felt like it wasn't fair and it wasn't right that the gap was there, I was correct. And that's infuriating sometimes, because it feels like, what was the reason? What was all this good for? There are moments where I am super mad about all of this. And the question is, why am I still sharing this? Because that's what we do over here, okay? You're sharing the journey towards the glow up. Listen, that's the reason why, but also because it has affected so much of my life and also of my efforts in actively changing my life. So keep that in mind in the future. We are finna struggle still a little bit before we can get our life together. When starting this journey, I never knew that this was going to be a part of it. So bear with me. There's one thing that is settled in my mind. I'm going to change my life. What the heck is all this for? I don't know. I'm documenting it. I'm sharing it because somewhere in here, there is a lesson. I don't know what the lesson is, okay? I'm constantly asking God, what is the lesson? I'm looking at him like, what was the reason? What was the reason? Constantly. Someone in here, there's a lesson. And if the lesson is fight the heck back, then that's going to be the lesson. I wanted to share this with you because more than ever, I am just like, if life is going to throw all of this to me, then I must be a threat. Then I must be on the good path of trying to change my life. If not, the enemy would not be coming at me this hard. He's a sucker. And he's a few words I'm not going to say online. Apparently, we have to fight back. So I'm sharing this. It is not an easy story to share. So please show me some love in the comments. If you're going to share stories of people who have gone through something similar that you know, please be mindful not only to share the negative stories where people was deported and it never happened for them, because that's not good for my hope, for my faith. You will be blocked. So yeah, please show me some love in the comments. Please, if someone is sharing their story of that they're currently going through a hard time, which you can share, by the way, you're not gonna get blocked. Please show them some love as well. Stuff like this is not easy. And it's something that 80% of the population in a country doesn't have to think about because they're living in their country. It is only something that you face when you move to another country and you live in a country that's not really like your home. Listen, thank you so much for watching, for taking the time to just chill with me and go with me along this journey. It's hard, okay? It is a lot harder than I thought it was gonna be when I turned on that camera on January 1st, 2023, okay? It is a lot harder, but we move. And at some point, if we don't give up, we're gonna get there. So stick with me to see what Daryl's gonna look like, okay? Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. I'm gonna put the next videos in the screens, okay? I'm gonna make playlists so you can watch anything. Send this video to like 2 people. Tell them to get on the journey of before the blow up, okay? I'll see you in the next one. Have a wonderful day, you amazing human being. Bye.